Hello, Life Path 6. This is going to be your reading. Welcome to Destiny Digits. Thank you for being here. All right, so let's talk about the qualities of Life Path 6. So you guys are very responsible. You guys are the lovers, great caretakers, very compassionate, selfless people. You feel good when those around you are also doing well. Now, those are kind of the high vibes of Life Path 6. The lower vibrations or lower energy, sometimes a 6 purity is the first oracle card. Sometimes 6s can tend to feel like a doormat, like people just kind of take advantage of them, take all the quality things they offer them, and then just kind of like walk all over them. We have purity, we have pleasure. I'll pull one more. Sometimes 6s can have to battle self-deprecating, giving so much to others to the point that you really leave yourself in a state of lack, overgiving. And sometimes that can cripple the people around you. It can cripple them from seeing their own strength, but also from seeing your generosity. Okay, let's get one more oracle card. And then, there's too many. One more, please, Spirit. And then we'll take note of the one on the bottom of the deck. So, yes, 6s, you guys are the lovers. Great family people. 2. So we have change. So we have purity, pleasure, change. And then we have abundance. We'll keep it. And on the bottom of the deck, we have flow. Okay. All right, now the next deck I'll use, this is, and I normally shuffle all of them, which is why I just kind of pull here. This is the Numerology deck I created. It's in the description box. So you have purity. Yikes. These showed themselves, so I'm going to take these. You here, and you here. Okay. And this is just going to be my extra one to take note of at the end, the abundance one. And at the bottom of this one, it says a low vibration of 2, easily offended, doormat, self-deprecating. Well, I kind of talked about that. We'll see how that ties in. And then lastly, so 2s and 6s are very much alike when it comes to their energy and numerology. So 2s are about cooperation and very good in partnerships, as is a 6. 6 takes on a little more because they can stabilize a family and, they kind of act as if everyone is a partner. They're just very loving to anybody, even if there's not really a title or anything. All right, so now with tarot, I like to do the 9 card box spread. So we have, for some reason, like this 6 of swords is my favorite card. I just think it's when you come to the realization that there's more out there and you have the courage to go and find it. So we have the 2 of swords. We have the 6 of swords. And we have the 9 of cups. And that is with purity. All right, now this next row is going to be in the row with pleasure. Next to pleasure, our numerology card has a high vibe of 7, analytical and logical. All right, analytical and logical. Okay, so I typically like to read this middle row as our current reality. This bottom row is our subconscious. It could be something that's hidden from us, something that we are bringing to the situation, almost like baggage. And then that top row is, it talks about kind of like what we need to do, what spirit is suggesting we do, what we're thinking about, what we're progressing to, stuff like that. So we have Tower. Alrighty. All right. So now we're building on the current reality. So Two of Swords is being at a crossroads mentally, not wanting to see, not wanting to accept that you need to clear something up, that you need to find a way. Followed by the Six of Swords, which is deciding to move on, take all those lessons that you learn, those six swords that are in that boat. They didn't feel good, but they were necessary to get you to the next phase, and you acknowledge that. So you're going to move on. And when you move on, that next energy is the Nine of Cups. Now, this is kind of like this energy of, being content, emotionally stable, alone. They're alone in that card. But after the Nine of Cups is 10 of Cups. So all you have is one more person. And then you have that big, happy family with unconditional love. Way too many. So top row is making a choice. That was Eight of Swords. It wanted to show. Top row is making a choice to move on to the emotional state that you desire. Middle row is telling us that there was a Tower. Now, typically, this is the center card, the King of Swords. So this could be the energy that you are in with the King of Swords. So, very rational, very logical, kind of cutting through the BS. You've been there. You've done that. You have no problem calling things how you see it. Just very cerebral and not really taking any BS. And so, as a king or a queen, you have mastered the journey of the swords, which is not a very easy journey to master. And at the bottom of the tarot deck, you have Three of Cups. All right. And then our extra card was Abundance. All right. So if I'm starting here, I see that this person, possibly you, and this King of Swords energy could have gone through a Tower. So a Tower is pretty much, when we build things in ways that are not conducive to longevity, when they're superficial or when they are built on like false premises or just shallow ideas, shallow anything that is built on a foundation that is not honest, authentic, and true. And, this could be a company you worked for. This could be it could be anything, but anything established on something false will fall. That's just the point of the Tower. And this could be something that you predicted or anticipated, or this could be something that totally caught you off guard, right? So we have this King of Swords type energy, who sometimes this could be past, present, and future. We have this King of Swords type energy who has experienced a Tower moment. And we have a high vibe of 7 here, which is very analytical and logical. That is the exact energy of this King of Swords. We also have pleasure. So we're going to read a little more about how to connect pleasure to this. So Tower. And on the other side of the Tower, we have Judgment. Judgment is when pretty much what was done in the dark comes to the light. This is when anything that happened that was essentially false, or anything that was, unjust, like everybody needs to be seen for the lack of integrity that they had. Judgment doesn't have to be bad, but it's definitely acknowledging those that did good for goodness sake and those that use their powers for evil instead of using it for good. And so this could be the space you're in. I mean, you could be causing towers to fall in your life and just calling them for what they are. And remember, 6, you guys are the lovers. And you could be in relationships or situations where you feel like we got at the bottom of the numerology card, like a doormat, self-deprecating, easily offended. You could be tired of the BS. And if somebody tries to establish something with you that is not stable and true and honest, you could be calling it out right away. And this could be a phase that you are into now. But it seems like your pleasure is important to you. You often, like we said, we self-deprecate, right? We deplete our own resources to store up those of another. And in the end, not only are we empty, but we're alone because people have been able to build off of our good energy and our good deeds. And it seems like this needs to stop. And so now you're analyzing, you're very logical about things. You're realizing when to pull your heart out of a situation and when to just really rationalize experiences that you're going through, and to not always operate from that compassionate side that you have. So at the bottom of the deck, this is kind of like what propelled us into this tower, this judgment. This is kind of like what we've been through, where we're going through. So we have change, and change is pretty self-explanatory. Something that was will not be. And, we are making adjustment, a shift. Now, next to change, we have perfectionist, rude, and moralistic. So, as we rid ourselves of the old and prepare for the new, sometimes we have a vision that we feel should come true or come to light. And so, I think in this, the way these two are combined, I think it's important not to get too caught up on the details of what this change looks like or what it doesn't look like. Like, we don't want to be too harsh, right? There definitely have been situations that have not honored you, but you don't want to bring that energy into the new, because you may misjudge something, right? So, being a perfectionist is almost an impossible trait to have because nothing is ever going to be perfect. So that's just a waste of your good energy. And being more realistic is like holding things to this standard, and kind of scrutinizing things to always be right in a book that you've created. And so maybe you want to change these aspects about yourself, or maybe it's the desire to change. You feel like you need to tighten up in these ways. You need to not be so accepting of everything, and you need to create barriers. But there's a way to do it that doesn't lessen your oomph, your power, and it won't harm the relationships around you. So you are making a change to bring more pleasure in your life, but your mindset as you make this change is important. It is important to be analytical and logical, but we don't want to be analyzing and holding people under a microscope, for what we deem as correct and right before we allow them into our life, or before we allow ourselves to take part in an experience alongside others. So, yeah. So last row, we have change, and then we have the Page of Wands. This is kind of like somebody who has received a message and they have a desire, they have a passion that they want to pursue. So the pages are kind of like planning, like they have something or they're searching for something, and the knights are in pursuit of that. So we have the planners who receive a message or they would like to go after a message of some sort. We have the knights who are like embarking on that. And then we have the kings and queens who master. So we have somebody who is, and this is right under the tower, who is looking or investigating something that drives them passionately. And then on the other side of that, we have the emperor. And the emperor is like the ultimate ruler. Like, this is somebody who has no problem when it comes to authority, very balanced. And, when I look at the emperor and this perfectionist, like there's a fine line, right, between this perfectionist and this emperor. So this is just someone who's powerful, who's forward, who's like no nonsense. Like, you don't want to mess with this person, right? So on the other side of the emperor, we have the lovers, which is your number 6. So sometimes we say that this card It could actually be about lovers. So maybe there was a connection that you were in that went through a period of judgment. And there's a change that is now required as a result of that. This could be a connection that prompted you to really focus on your own pleasure because you had prioritized the pleasure of another. And so you, in this relationship, you were asked to really take authority over what you give and what you're willing to chase after. And so when you pursue things, you need to pursue things in power. And so if there was a choice that you were to make in love, the choice that you make needs to be a choice that honors you. And there is no perfect choice. Let's say you had to compare two people. The measures by which you compare people, it needs to be genuine. And so there is a change that you were shifted to make, but you were asked to step into an energy of authority, not in a way that is scrutinizing and judgmental, but in a way that is true, balanced, and fair. And like I said, this could have been a choice in love or a choice in something that you love to do, or a choice in a relationship, and then just kind of taking that energy and focus on yourself. So we have this emperor, this absolute authority. Above is this King of Swords, this rational, logical person who kind of cuts through the BS. And then we have this Six of Swords. So something happened in this bottom connection that sparked a change that propels us to really think about what pleases us, what gives us joy. Something has fallen. Something has come to light that was not always apparent. And now I need to make a decision, right? So here we are at the top. There's a decision that we need to make, but we kind of really don't want to, or we're just having trouble, right? We can't see, we're blindfolded. But something has to give. And in the end, the choice is to take all that you've learned from this tower, this judgment, from this space as the King of Swords, take what you've learned and allow it to benefit you in the future. And as you move from the rough to the calm, you're moving into this Nine of Cups. And like I said, this person is alone. But they're only one cup away from like that 10 of Cups, which is like that family unit. But you have to get to a place where you are secure with just you, right? Because whenever you bring in somebody else into your life to build a relationship, you can only offer them what you already possess. So if you have all 9 cups, then you are a wonderful candidate to offer yourself to something or someone. Now, at the top of the tarot spread, we have a 3 of Cups, which is about joy, celebration. It's fun-loving. It's giving you something to celebrate. So, this change period really prompts you to think about what makes me happy, what pleases me, what is it that I desire, what is it that I'm going after. And then you get to this top row, which is about purity, right? Because when you decide to move from something that did not serve you, let me talk about this. In this purity row where you're making this shift, it says overly stressed, demanding, frustrated. And so you have a choice to remain those 3 things: overly stressed, demanded, feeling like others are demanding way too much of you, or frustrated, or you can get in your boat and move away. And that is a part of purifying yourself. That's a part of purging the things that no longer are really serving your life, the things that are stopping you from true pleasure. And so you can stay in an energy that seems to be toxic, or you can move away to calmer waters and really pursue a life that satisfies your soul and that just completely fills you. And so at the bottom of the deck for the oracle, we have flow. And so, flow, I think in this card, well, one, it's nighttime and there's the moon. We often talk about how the moon reveals to us things that are not always apparent in sun, right? So some things are hidden at night, but they always surface. They can come up. And so Spirit is asking you that as things are revealed, as a result, as things are revealed, go with the flow and Push yourself towards what gives you peace, pleasure, and don't allow the situations that you've endured or are actually going through right now to demand so much of you that you can't prepare for what comes next. So we have easily offended, doormat, and self-deprecating. So this is calling for us to have tough skin, and some things that can kind of erode our level of protection is when we expect others to return to us what they're giving. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Being easily offended. That could be from expecting to receive from others what you have given to them, right? And that is not always going to happen. Most times it won't happen. So when you give, when you are your loving self, when you make a choice to show up for someone, somebody, something, in any place, at any time, do it because it is fulfilling to you. It just makes your heart happy. Never give with the expectation that you will receive it back from that person. Sometimes you can pour into a situation and never see anything, but the situations that come in the future, that's where your blessing is returned, right? So sometimes it doesn't even have to come back from the people that you have poured into or the situations. Sometimes you can get, become a part of a new organization that just is like everything you've hoped for. So put boundaries up so that you are not walked all over, right? Don't ever forget your value, even when people don't value you. You have to always remember why you are who you are and why you have something to offer. And don't expect others to remind you, and don't expect others to honor that, right? And so you are moving into something that brings you joy and happiness and pleasure and celebration, but you have to make a choice to change, and you have to only take away the good from the situation and kind of leave the bad. And it is important to see through BS. It is. And the choices that you make need to come from a place of power, not from you just wanting to serve, regardless of whether you are served back. And then that extra card that came out was abundance. So, who doesn't love this card? But I feel, and this is kind of what the Nine of Cups, reminds me of, there's nothing more this person could ask for. Their heart is content. They've got all the love, the self-love. They are so satisfied with their self. Little arms across. They're just content as they could be. And so I think that what you are looking for, you can find in plenty. But it may not have been where you were, but where you were, and you may have been overlooked and not valued, was necessary to teach you which boundaries to put up where and when, right? Sometimes the most painful experiences and sometimes the most crappy people are the greatest teachers we will have. And we need them so we know how to build our own towers around us, right? And so abundance is only going to be very apparent when you choose you and when you move away from what didn't serve you. And there's a tribe. You will find situations and experiences with others where you can celebrate. And when you'll be able to laugh and smile and, be who you are as sixes. I hope something in here resonated. Thank you guys for checking in, and I will see you soon. Life path number 6. Take care. Bye-bye.